What up, Pod Squatters? I'm Anita Wong.
And I'm Tiffany Lee.
We're investors, real estate agents, and the co-hosts of SARE Ladies, the girl power arm of subtle Asian real estate.
Every episode will feature funny, casual conversations with dope AF participants killing it in the real estate game. But also mostly people like you and me, just trying to figure it out. Stay for the drama and lulls. We're not pulling any punches.
But first, a quick SARE Ladies announcement. Hey sorority sisters and pod squatters, Anita and I are planning our first sorority girls weekend in Dallas, Texas this November. We'll be bringing you more tailored education, more female-driven networking opportunities, more fun activities, and of course, more deals in Dallas. So if you'd like to be kept in the loop on all our sorority field trip updates, DM Anita Wong or Tiffany Lee through the Subtle Asian Real Estate Facebook page with your email address, and we'll add you to our exclusive mailing list. Hope to see you in Dallas. Now on to the show.
Hey pod squatters, and welcome to the SARE Ladies podcast. Today is an exciting day. We will be talking to Stella Han here from Fractional. Say hi, Stella.
Hey folks.
Stella Han is 25 years old and the co-founder CEO at Fractional, which is the first social platform for fractional ownership of real estate. Fractional empowers people to co-own investment real estate with friends in an inclusive, collaborative, and hassle-free way. Fractional has raised $15 million in funding on a $100 million valuation from Fifth Wall, National Association of Realtors, Y Combinator, CRV, Will Smith, Kevin Durant, and others. And Stella, with her co-founder Carlos, was just listed by Entrepreneurial magazine as their up-and-comers to watch this year list. Congratulations and welcome, Stella.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
We're excited to have you.
Stella, yeah, you are such a SARE celebrity, and I feel like we had to have you on. And of course, you're like the ultimate SARE lady, so we definitely are so excited to have you here.
Yeah, I couldn't do this without SARE, so really glad to really bring this full circle and just share more about my story today.
Yeah, when did you join SARE, actually?
I think it might have been a month or two after SARE was founded. I was honestly just, browsing on Facebook for more real estate communities to join. The subtle Asian aspect is definitely really hard to miss. And then showed up to one of the dim sum events that Annie was planning in the Bay Area. And that's, the beginning of finding my squad and finding my tribe. So here we are.
Oh, that's so great. Well, so some of the people that are on this podcast never have heard of you, probably have seen you floating around doing deals and everyone's talking about you. But for those of you that don't know you, how did you get into real estate and how did you found Fractional?
Yeah, I would love to share that. So I grew up in the Bay Area and, everybody talks about real estate here. So that was definitely, true in my family as well. Both of my parents were engineers, but they've been doing this passion project where they've been flipping houses in the Bay Area for the past decade. So, I grew up being, I think this is a typical Asian story, but being, the cheap family labor of the family, did a lot of, helping them fix stuff, doing a lot of the underwriting, calling all these contractors and vendors. We kind of joke that, Home Depot is like our Asian Disneyland. So that, just seeing my parents' journey, it really motivated me and influenced me to want to get into real estate myself. I ended up pursuing a career in computer science as well. Joined a firm, the Buy Now Pay Later company, as a software engineer, and pretty much first couple of paychecks in, I was like, okay, how do I, build my own real estate portfolio? Also wanted to invest in real estate out of state at that time as well, just because of how unaffordable the Bay Area is. And there's really, not that much opportunities for return sometimes. So, didn't really have the capital to begin with. Also didn't really have that many resources in terms of investing outside of my backyard. So that's why I was like, how do I start? And really at that time, the only viable solution seemed to be these online crowdfunding platforms. So I did a lot of research into, Fundrise, Yield Street, all of those. And what really sucked was I didn't qualify for most of these platforms because I wasn't an accredited investor. And that to me just kind of like blew my mind because I'm like, I don't have the capital, which is why I'm looking, but yet I need to be, so rich and be accredited to even invest in these platforms. So that was a huge shocker. And then I ended up putting $5,000 into Fundrise, which was really the only crowdfunding platform that allowed for non-accredited investors. And even that just turned out to be a really unfulfilling experience. Out of just a quarter, I had only made 20 cents in my dividends, which I was like, okay, I know this is not how real estate works. And when I looked into it more, I lost more than 40% of my profits just paying these asset management fees, trust fees. And then these dividends, they're not raw rental income. So you don't get the tax benefits that comes with, direct real estate ownership. So that was a huge loss for me as well. And really with a fund, you're just a silent shareholder. You don't have, any transparency in terms of why these operators are making certain decisions. I didn't really get to learn anything, which was why I wanted to do this in the first place. So really took away a lot of what I was looking for. And around the same time, my co-founder, who was also an engineer at a firm, we actually worked on the same team. He also grew up in a real estate investing family. We were just jamming a lot about these different real estate ideas. And he was like, why don't we just pour our money together? Let's do it ourselves. Let's figure it out. So we actually formed a partnership between the two of us. Started out as an international project because my co-founder's family is based out of Mexico. We bought a plot of land there together, and then soon started investing out of state in the US together as well. And that's really what kicked us in building our real estate portfolio and doing it as a group. And there were just, a lot of hurdles along the way with the setup, doing the LLC, making sure we had our legal agreement set up. That costed us, more than $20,000 working with a lawyer, and just constantly doing a lot of the back office, busy work. And a lot of our friends wanted to do the same thing. It was kind of like a no-brainer for so many people to want to own real estate with their friends and their trusted network, but nobody pulled the trigger just because of how overwhelming the process was. And that's really when we started connecting the dots. And we're like, if we really bring technology into this, it will really just make real estate a lot more accessible. And doing it with your community is on top of that so fundamental to how real estate works. It's such a social sport. You want to do it with other people. You want to build your team and your network, and all of those things together. It's really what led us to building Fractional, where we're helping friends and investing communities like SARE come together. We're stronger together, and we're building our legacy together.
I love that. I love so much. I love using the social aspect of you might be building wealth for yourself, but it's a social thing. It's you need other people to build wealth. And I love that you guys were already in the thick of things. Like you were the customers yourself and struggling through all of the problems that we all face and before you built your product. And I think that's really awesome. So I just want to give sorry.
No, I was just going to comment. Oh, sorry. Can I? I'll just say something. It's very beginner friendly, right? I just wanted to give a little shout out, a high five to Stella, that Fractional is a very beginner friendly platform, and it addresses that need, right? Of if you're a newbie, there's a level of gatekeeping with being an accredited investor if you want to participate. So removing that barrier, making it more accessible, I think is kind of also in line with like the soul of subtle Asian real estate too. So I love that, we're in that alignment. All right, that was all I want to say. Go on.
That was great. It's hard to be like, I want to interject some comments in here, but that's really awesome. I just want to give also can you give us a spiel on like the Fractional 101? Like what does Fractional do and why it is different from things like Fundrise and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure, of course. So we help friends and investing communities co-own real estate together and really taking care of that journey full service. So starting out in that discovery phase, people, they can come with their own groups, or, if you're a newbie, you can, join a community like SARE, learn from other people and meet other people who are like-minded, have the same goals as you. And we have this opportunity where we have different agents that come in for classes, more experienced investors. They're proposing, their deals and their ideas, and you're able to join that. And then afterwards, that kicks off into the acquisition process, where really Fractional is streamlining everything with the setup. So we create the LLC, all of the co-ownership legal agreements. You don't have to go, out of your way and spend a lot of money finding your own lawyer. We set up the business banking account for the LLC as well. And we even have lending partners that are able to extend debt for a partnership, for an LLC, without needing a personal guarantor from anyone in the group, which is a huge value add because, who wants to be liable for 100% of the loan when you're only, a 10%, 25% equity owner of a property. And then that transitioning into the management phase. So we handle everything with bookkeeping. There's also a voting platform where people can collaborate on deciding, if they want to increase rent or do a rehab or refinance, whatever it is, being able to collaborate on that directly through the platform as well. And then we handle everything with taxes. So you also don't need to go find your own CPA. So really everything from start to finish, we're a one-stop shop for setting up and running partnerships.
Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely, I just started using Fractional too and started diving into it. And I really love that it's so easy to use. And, so much it's so much cleaner and user friendly than some of the other stuff that I found, and that you can plug into different communities and find different communities, not just limited to your own and things like that. I really like that. That's a one-stop shop.
So democratic. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so I know community seems to be a common theme, and I know you kind of touched upon this before, but when you were starting Fractional, what kind of made you say, click, community is the future of real estate?
Yeah, I think it draws a lot from my personal experiences into investing, is that starting out, there would have been no way where I could have grew myself as a real estate investor and my portfolio without just such a kick-ass support of people around me in terms of, learning about new markets, mistakes people have made in the past that I shouldn't. And even, when I just need kind of that emotional push to pull the trigger or whatever it is, there are people that are going to be my rock that I can lean on. And just that similar, energy I hear from so many real estate investors. I think every person that has gone into real estate has had that phase in their life where, they're starting out, they're trying something new, and they've been, around people that's gotten them to the point where they are at now. And once they are more seasoned, more experienced, these people want to give back and help, the rookie investors. And that's really, just tying all that together. We're wow, as a platform, if we can really facilitate these relationships, it can really help people, grow their real estate business, and then also just, grow themselves as people. We form so many, friendships, relationships, and it turns from, business to personal as well. So that's why, we're so bullish on this aspect. And even, from a company growing perspective, having all these communities be, our core thesis, the people backing us up, it really helps us grow a lot quicker than, having to do, cold ads targeting just random, retail investors on our internet who don't know each other, don't know what the company is. But when we can, build something like we have with SARE, where, we've established a really high trust, people know who we are, they've participated in the projects, they know who their fellow co-owners are, and they're all here to, learn from each other and do something together. So yeah, it's been incredibly powerful, and definitely could not have done it without the SARE community.
Yeah, I love that. And I definitely echo how important it is to invest with people that you have to trust, right? It's you guys are in it together, managing tenants together, doing business together. And I think having that rapport with people, even just the way that I think Tiffany and I talk a lot about, just having cultural similarities too. And I think it plays a big part in how we invest and how we treat money, how we view money, and maybe how scrappy we are sometimes. And there's a weird sort of a cultural mutual understanding by investing with people that are like you. And I think that about women too, right? It's how powerful it will be to have more women investing together, because we kind of have we have very similar language of, investing and
sensibilities. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think to me, when women work together, I think it's probably the most, just it's an incredible energy I can't describe to men. I can't describe it to my husband. He's like, yeah. It's why do you like doing this? I'm like, you don't know what the sisterhood bond is.
It's so funny. It's if you're in a meeting with all women, there's a complete absence of ego sometimes, and you're like, this is so refreshing. Like no one's like pounding their chest, just like talking over. Well, I talk over people sometimes, but that's just me being ADHD. But yeah, you know what I mean, right? Like sometimes with meetings
Yeah,
with guys, it's kind of like, okay, but yeah, like Anita said, it's a sisterhood of just
yeah,
collaboration. Yeah, it's like a little
yeah,
village.
and of course it's like case by case, but it kind of feels like women have more of that, like we understand what we do this for, we know how we want to do it, and the energy of pushing other women to do things, especially right now, is just an incredible feeling. And I think too, like women have a special kind of resistance to investing together. And so I want to ask you perhaps like what can women do to draw upon their community for the personal growth or the business growth that they're trying to get into real estate, not having much, wanting to get into together. What would you say to women that are kind of working on this side of their life?
Yeah, I would say definitely in a all women community, something that I found to be different in the style of mentorship that it's actually very important as a mentor to also be vulnerable and share a lot of the low lights and the hurdles that you've experienced when you were just starting out. I think a lot of times when, there's a community and there's a mentorship and relationship and it's celebrating a lot of the successes, it kind of pushes people to think, okay, like these are all the things that I have to do right to get to the next step. But a lot of times, I think especially for women, there's imposter syndrome. There's a lot of doubt where, they hear from all these mentors and especially counterparts for like, this is what I did to get this stuff right. But they don't hear about like the doubts that other people have experienced as well and how that's totally normal and something that everyone goes through and how to fight through those doubts and those areas of problem to get to that level of success that they are at now. So I think the SARE ladies community has been phenomenal at doing that, where we're all just so open to each other and we're not only sharing the highlights but also the lowlights and how we've battled and fought through those, to be at the stage now and then sharing what are the lowlights and the highlights now to get to the next stage. So that's something that I think has brought me a lot of empowerment personally, and I would love to definitely see that in more women-led communities as well.
Actually, Stella, if I may interject, you said something really interesting there that I wanted to have you expand on a little bit, right? And it's talking about that lowlights, right? So from in the early days of Fractional, right? And also being a woman working in tech, right? What were some of the hurdles that you had encountered that got you to where you are with all these backers? Like what was like a struggle that stood out to you that might inspire one of our listeners who maybe has big dreams of starting a real estate tech startup at some point, or anything that's like very male dominated? What would be like a very good story and anecdote you know off the top of your head that might be helpful for them?
Yeah, I think the confidence thing is definitely a huge one, where a lot of times it's like you yourself know exactly like all of the pain and the uncertainty that you're going through, but when you see, other founders or other investors, you're only seeing, like the shiny parts of their lives, like all the things that are going well. And it may make you doubt yourself more, but you just have to realize that it's like everyone is presenting the best of themselves and, they're probably hiding what's not working for them. So you don't want to compare, the worst in yourself with the best in other people, but just really focus on, what can I bring to the table? And then also, be transparent about what you don't have. That's how you're going to find the allies that are going to support you, be complementary to your skill sets. And if you're confident in, being really authentic, being able to just, showcase everything that I have, this is me, this is what I'm great at, this is stuff that I'm working on building an awesome team for. And I want you to be a part of that team, to be a part of something bigger and realize something together with me. I think just having that mindset, a lot of it is really internal. I think just adopting that framework for me really, really helped a lot. And I don't know if this is like me personally or a woman thing, but sometimes I also have a tendency to like want to find the right answer. And that has been sometimes kind of like, I feel like not allowing me to move as quickly as I want. And I feel like a lot of times sometimes our male counterparts, they're a lot more open to experimentation. They just try a lot of things and they just, see what kind of works. And, we're trying to, do a lot of analysis, figure out what's the perfect answer. And a lot of times the perfect answer just doesn't exist. And if we're just more open to, experimenting, iterating, and being okay with, things not working out, but there is a chance that out of, the 100 things that we try, one of them does work out really great. That definitely opens a lot more doors for us as well.
Yeah, I think that's something we've experienced all the time, even just building this podcast, right? It's like, like a guy told us, like, your first 100 episodes are going to suck. I'm just like, oh my gosh. It's like, of course a guy would be like, okay, like they're open to that. And I'm just like, we barely got like one at a time out. And we're just like, we really had to adopt that mentality of like, done is better than perfect. Like done is better than the perfect answer. And just keep being okay with making those mistakes. And the same thing is for real estate. I'm like, well, I'm going to expose myself to it, but at least I'm going to be learning. If you're not in it, I think anything, if you're not in it, you're not learning enough about it. You can read books, you can listen to these podcasts all you like, but it's just like if you're not playing, and I don't think that you're really learning. To me, I think something I'm still learning.
Right, exactly. The fastest way to learn is to do, right? So we've just all got to just pull the trigger and just force ourselves to get there, and that's how we're going to get to the next stage.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Awesome. I love that. All right. So I think that wraps us up, right, Anita? Right.
Yeah,
Thank you,
was awesome.
Stella.
That
was great.
Yeah, of course. I just love being a part of this family. Like, I feel like no other community really like feels this whole. Like every time I do something, like my heart just feels so whole. I feel like I'm repeating myself and I'm kind of like a broken record, but it really does truly mean so much to me every time to show up to these events. It's like a big family reunion, and that in itself is just such a special feeling. So I'm really, really glad that I was able to spend this time with you all today and just sharing more about my story and continuing to work with SARE and the SARE ladies to keep this going and make this bigger.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Stella. It's always great speaking with you. Stella and Fractional are going to be instrumental in our future sorority initiatives, which we're all very excited about. In the meantime, if you listeners at home are interested in seeing what real estate investment opportunities are available to buy into for a fraction of the cost, go visit Fractional. Thanks again for chatting with us today, Stella. Hey, Pod Squatters. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of SARE Ladies, thanks to the support from our following sponsor. Do you have ambitious goals that you're committed to but feel stuck or stopped when trying to achieve them? Ganga Tarwadi from the SARE Ladies panel at SARECon has 16 years of performance coaching experience and is an expert at helping people overcome procrastination, eliminate negative emotions, and break through limiting beliefs to attract teams, lead communities, and build wealth. Ganga's highly customized personal coaching sessions are normally $2,500 for 5 sessions. However, for a short time, Ganga is offering them for half price at $1,250 and including a 6th bonus session to help you get your breakthrough. Use promo code SARELadies100 for an additional $100 discount at checkout. Sign up at infiniteperform.com/breakthrough. Thanks for hanging with the SARE Ladies. Until next time.